put a bit of light on the job. There we are. How are we? So somehow, I don't know how, a month has gone past again. So I'm trying to give you a bit of an update. A month has gone past, I think, because I've been proper into this wagon at the minute to get it finished. So my next video, this is a pre-warning, my next video will be all about that wagon. It won't be about anything else because it'll be finished and I want to show it off, and I know I've been teasing everybody a little bit with it, so it'll be all about that. So this video, class 2 again, a little bit of progress, not a major amount as I say, because I've been doing this wagon. But I've had some bits come through from Ed again at Model Engineers Laser. Those, some of you will recognise those. That's for the brake gear, or for the brake shaft that goes under the front of the drag box, front drag box. I've had those cut ready. My initial plan was to do the main brake shaft. I was going to do it as one like the full size were. The only reason I can't do that is I'm not 100% sure where all the levers are going to be, if that makes sense. So I know that there's going to be obviously one from the steam brake, and there's going to be one either side for the actual main pull rods, to the cross shafts that go through it, and then which obviously are hanging off the brake hangers. The only thing is with doing it as one and not knowing where they're all going to be, if I fabricate it and completely mess it up, all those levers are in the wrong place. And when I say I was going to do it all as one piece, these we're going to have a smaller hole in here, and then I was going to basically have these either welded on, or I would silver solder them on. Silver solder, they might end up breaking off, so I was looking down the lines of if I could have them welded on in the right places and then turn the shaft down in the lathe to get the ends the right diameter, and in between all of these the right diameter, so it look like it's one piece. So as I say, I'm not going down that route. I'm going down the route of how it's fabricated on the published drawings, but with a little bit of a twist of how it looked in full size. If it works out, brilliant. If it doesn't, no hardship. You're not really going to see it because it's underneath the actual the frames anyway. So there's in that respect there isn't too much to worry about looking at it wise, you know, and how it's going to be and things like that. So what can I show you tonight? First I'll show you these. I might have shown these, well I did show these. So they are the spring hangers, and that, I've got to show you that if I can. Let me get this light onto it as well. You can see in the top of there, right there. Now that's for an adjuster on the full size. Now I know by other lost wax castings that are available for these spring hangers, that's completely omitted altogether. Now it's not functioning because it's flat inside here. It's not functioning at all, but that would have been an adjuster, so you could adjust the actual spring, get the tender running level and everything like that. All the wheels would be carrying the same amount of weight and stuff, and you could adjust it through there. Now the other thing as well, that a detail that I've noticed from other lost wax castings, and I say that from my previous class 2, is if you notice this part here, that web there and that web there, they're curled in there. So basically to allow room for that adjuster on the full size, and these are true to full size, copied from a works drawing, drawn up, lost wax cast. They are absolutely true to full size. What's even better is you can see the dimples, the impressions there for where the rivets are going to go. Now I had the frames, I don't know if you remember, when I had the frames laser cut, I drew them all up to put every hole in it apart from where the horn guides are going to be. But I put in for the spring hangers where they were in relation and everything like that, and I had already had the size dimensions was obviously 332 rivets. I also had the spacings because prior to me ordering those spring hangers, I already had the spacings for where the rivet holes were going to be, so I had the frames completely done. Now, apart from actually cleaning, because I haven't pulled the frames apart yet, which is going to happen in the next few weeks, apart from running the drill through these laser cut holes just to clean them through ready for the rivet to go in, I thought I'd drill a couple of the spring hangers, and just to kind of, for me, it was just like, well, let's see how accurate those dimples are in relation to a laser cut hole, which we know is going to be precise. And I thought then was going to be a discrepancy, because a lost wax casting that's just a dimple and me hitting it with a drill, the drill's going to try and wander to pick up that hole. And I thought there's going to be a discrepancy that I'm going to have to try and rectify. How wrong was I? And I'll show you. Give me a sec. So we're going to bugger off round the other side of the work. Well, not the other side of the workshop, the other side of the engine or the tender. Just going to flip the camera. There. Now they're loosely put in. They're not tight as such, because I can't rivet them in until I've got the brake hangers which fit in there. So there's literally a couple of rivets pushed through there and there, and they fit exactly where those 4 holes were. So you can see the holes. There's 4 holes there, look here, 4 there. Where am I pointing? There. And that's what I married up with these, and they literally fitted straight on. Let's turn you around again. So that was for me really pleasing, because I know that when I get all the others drilled, they're just going to fit straight on. So yeah, really happy with them. Couldn't believe it's just worked, you know. So I'm very pleased. One thing you might have noticed as well then, when I whizzed round that side, is this that's lurking between the frames. That's my first wheel. I've still obviously got the tread to do. So I've lobbed that in the lathe just to turn it up, clean the face off, get it to thickness, ready for me to do the tread and the flange of the wheel. The centre is to thickness, which is a 16th proud on the face. How it's drawn on the published drawings, not how it's drawn in full size. I've got a full size drawing and the published drawing. The reason I didn't follow the works drawing, I tried to as best I could, but it wasn't going to work. The reason I didn't follow it is because these that I've had supplied, they are true to what the BR standard tenders had, but obviously these aren't going to have a rim shrunk onto them. It's going to be all as one. Excuse me. So I've done it. I followed the published drawings is what I'm trying to say, and I've put what looks like it's had a rim shrunk onto it, but it won't have. So from the outside looking in, you'll see it and you'll go, yeah, it's got a wheel, whatever, you know what I mean. But it's not, I'm not copying that works drawing. I probably should have, and turned them all the way off altogether, then made some rims for them and shrunk the rims onto it. But I'm always a bit dubious because it's not going to have that retaining ring in the back of a wheel like full sizes. I'm always a bit dubious of will it jettison itself when it's in use. I don't want to run the risk, so I've looked at the works drawings, scaled it and everything, and ended up following the published drawing. One thing that has bugged me a little bit, and this bugs me even doing wagons, tread width full size is 5 inches. Now, a quick calculation, that's just above 5/8. But we're doing in 7 1/4, we do them at 3/4 tread size. It's we say it's true to scale, but it's not true to scale, because it would have been closer to 5/8 than 3/4 of an inch. And like on my wagon wheels that I do for the wagons, they're 21mm on the tread, as opposed to pulling them closer to 19mm on the tread. And you think, well, what's 2mm? It doesn't really matter. But it does when you consider how much you're taking off. If you took that much off in the lathe, you know, that casting, for instance, it'd look a lot thinner. So, you know, yeah, it kind of would. I know why we do it, and I know it's about track discrepancies and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, how many people go out and run a track gauge down every bit of track every time they run and stuff like that? We don't. We believe that everything's going to stay in gauge or relatively close to gauge. And the wheels are being that little bit wider than they should be, it'll take up that discrepancy in the track. Without dropping in, or, you know, or without dropping in, because if it went out of gauge on the wheels, you're into a different world of whatever. So anyway, I'm waffling on a little bit, but there you go. So that's where I'm up to on the wheels. Spring hangers, I'm not going to go too mad with them at the minute, because as I say, I'm still going to be waiting on the brake hangers that fit behind them. They share a rivet hole. On this class 2, on the published drawings, it's saying do a little turned spigot that doesn't sit anywhere near where the spring hanger actually is riveted on. We've disregarded that altogether, and we're following what's going on. We're following what's going on a full size engine. So yeah, so one other thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to have to take you off there again, but one thing I'm going to show you just quickly, and again, excusing the mess, you can see there, I already showed a picture of this on the actual page. So we've got the brake shaft is going through now, you can see that underneath. Brake shaft's going through, and then I've put the bushes, I've turned the bushes and put the 5 bolt holes. I've not drilled for the 5 bolt holes and tapped the frames yet, because I need to split the frames to do that. So I've just left it as it is and just put the brake shaft in, and that's why I've had those bits cut from Model Engineers Laser. That's why I've had those cut, because I'm going to have to make some other parts for those before they can go on, and then I can put the brake shaft to one side and go, yeah, that's done and ready to go in when I get to that stage. And one thing you'll also notice as well is that the front drag box has started to go rusty. I don't know why, because nothing else has been trying to go rusty on the engine. Why that's suffering, I don't get that at all, because nothing else is really suffering from rust in here, but that is. So, but when I split the frames, obviously that drag box is going to come out. That's going to get finished off, ready. I'll put the bushes in for the drawbar. There's a bit of silver soldering to do on that, and then obviously that last upper stretcher, that will get finished off at the same time, because I'll be doing a bit of silver soldering. Then I'm going to slap a load of paint on those 2 bits, the front drag box, the upper stretcher, to keep the rust at bay. And then when the frames are apart, I'll start attacking the frames a bit more. One thing I have had done, I've done one of those, one of the horn guides. Now what I haven't done yet is I haven't done this face here, so it's over thick, this part, it's over thick there. I had a drilling jig laser cut so that I could get all the holes in the same place on all of them when they're split like that, because I don't want to individually mark it out. I'm going to do one as well for the detail that goes in here. which would be the bolts for the rubbing pad that would have fitted in here on the full size. I want that detail in there. So I'm going to have to do a drilling jig so I get all of those the same. I know it's 2 inches tall and it's 1 inch across there, but I have to work out. I know there's an adjuster that fits where this web is in the top. In the top there and in the bottom down here, there's 2 adjusters and they're kind of sat on little pegs. So I'm going to have to I'm going to have to drill it from this side out this way, and then I'm going to have to counter bore this way, that way, then put in a peg, glue in a peg with probably some JB Weld, glue in a peg there just to give me the detail. It's not going to have any function at all on this face here. This face is going to be for the axle box to go against once it's machined back, but I want to get this detail in here, so I'm going to put this peg in with a bit of JB Weld that'll hold it in. There'll be a bolt through it with a countersink on this face. The countersinks that are sitting in this face will obviously allow oil to collect as the axle box is going up and down. So that's what's going to happen with those, but I'm getting them all to the same stage where these are all drilled ready for riveting onto the frames. Then I'll do that face with all the holes, put those pegs in, glue them in, tidy it all up, make it all nice. Then we'll start to think about putting them on the frames. So that's been done as well. That's about it really, progress wise, for this time round. As I say, I haven't done a great deal because I've been proper concentrating on this wagon. All the paint touch-ups done, everything's made on it. Everything was made on them anyway, but all the paint touch-up is done. I've got another coat of varnish to put on the inside because it's had 2 so far, and I don't think it looks right personally on the inside just yet, so I'm going to do another coat, see what it looks like after that. After that, I think there's 1 or 2 little bits of touch-up I've got to do on the reds, but I need to order some new red that's a bit thinner. The stuff I've got's a bit thick, so I'm going to put some brand new red onto it to finish the side off. And then the next video will be the big reveal of, there's this wagon that I've been harping on about for God knows how long. The customer's been very patient or impatient, depends how you want to look at it, but he's happy with what he's seen so far, which is good. And hopefully it will look like that, and that's what I copied it from. A little 00 gauge wagon in a box. So there we are. That's what it's going to look like, but a bigger version. So anyway, it's a short but sweet video this time round, and God knows how a month has flown by, but it has. So anyway, it got dark quick out there. So thanks very much for tuning in again, and I promise that the next video will be a bit better and a bit longer and have a bit more update to show you all. Alright, see you again soon.